I told John, he used to be my lawyer.
Who, Joe?
Yeah.
He's a good one.
It really is. It really is.
He's a good one.
First of all, they're gonna turn left. That's what everybody was saying. And if you put something that forces them to turn right, where they go? I wanna see where they end up.
Yeah.
Cause they're gonna be right down there where
I was looking at the clock
that
there.
Highland.
Still 59.
Roundabout or something right there, that O'Charlie's and Reed.
Oh, okay.
South Carroll. Little something needs to happen right there.
Well, something needed to happen there a long time ago. I agree with you.
And possibly even opening up, where Edge hits South Carroll.
Well, Edge and Berry should have been straightened out years ago. They shouldn't be a zigzag. It should be straight across. Should have been a four-way stop there a long time ago.
And then who's responsible for maintenance? I mean,
Okay, the big clock says 6 o'clock, so let's call the meeting to order.
Thanks.
And the first thing we have to do is to adopt the agenda. And before we do that, I call your attention to the last page of the package of material that we received today, which requests removal of one of the items from the agenda. And that, I believe, is the item B under new business.
That is correct.
So I would like to make that modification to remove item B under new business.
Or to actually postpone it until the following meeting,
Okay.
which would
But
be,
as far as this agenda is concerned, it is removed from there. So what's your pleasure, gentlemen, about adopting the agenda?
I move we approve that, or approve the agenda with that change.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda with the
it-
removal of item B to a
I'm s-
later time.
I'm sorry, Chairman, just one thing, we would actually have to announce the date, so it doesn't have to be re-noticed again,
Oh, okay.
which would be on April 6th.
April
It would have
6th.
to be postponed until April 6th. That would have to be in the motion.
Is that a Tuesday?
Amend the motion.
Yes, sir.
Tom, would you put that in your,
So moved.
and who seconded?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay. That's all under old business, so new business, Ron?
So should we keep this old package here and then we can use this the next time for the third time it comes up?
Yes, sir. What we'll end up doing, pending any future meetings with the applicant at City Hall, I'm sure there'll be changes to the application as it goes forward. So we'll send out the updated changes, any changes that that the applicant proposes. That could be to the application, that could be to my staff report and things of that nature. So we'll make sure we send just those updates to you guys.
Okay, very good. Continue?
Okay. Tonight, I have, and good afternoon, Chairman and Planning Board, Planning Commission. Tonight, I have an application for a rezoning and,
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I lost an item in the agenda that we just approved.
Oh,
And that's the
minutes.
approval
Yes.
of minutes
Mhm.
from the last meeting. So
Yes.
we've received those today. We've received them by email previously. What is your pleasure, Commission?
I move that we accept the old minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sorry, Ron.
No worries. Tonight I have an application, this is actually a carried application from, I believe it was November 3rd of 2020. This is for a 25.83 acre property located at 450 Edge Road, application number RA-02-20. This application is by LIT Acquisitions LLC of Dallas, Texas. And they're applying to rezone the property from its current zoning designation of C2 commercial medium density to I2 industrial medium density. And the rezoning would permit for an industrial distribution warehouse use, and it's proposed to be 357,000 plus square feet. And this is located in Ward 5. The applicant is here tonight. If we remember from that last meeting in November, the applicant was requested to come back with a traffic study for the Edge Road and Liberty Road intersection in that entire corridor area, and they have done that. They've sent a copy to the city engineer, Bobby Elliott, and to myself, and we've also reviewed that. The staff report has been updated as well. But the applicant can shed more light on that report and give their testimony to that tonight.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to present?
No.
Okay.
Has the staff's position changed since the last application as far as recommendation?
It has not.
Thank you.
Commission, do you have any questions of Ron? If not, can we call the applicant forward and present your case?
So I'm Lauren Lair. I'm with Eberly and Associates. We're the site civil engineer. And as Ron mentioned, we did, it was actually, we called it an intersection safety audit, which is where we went out there with Mr. Bobby Elliott as well as a highway engineer, a traffic engineer, and then a couple other observers. And, you know, they did background data on the intersection before, and when we were out there, we brought up our concerns and then came up with some recommendations for the intersection itself. And I believe
You're talking about the intersection of
Edge
Edge and Liberty.
yes, sir, correct. And, you know, they did evaluate it for a signal. I think that was one of the concerns. And as far as traffic volume goes, that would be warranted, but for the accidents, it was not warranted. So when we were out there, we had kind of come up with the recommendation that a traffic signal would not be recommended because it would actually cause more accidents. You know, when you look at it, and there are very few accidents coming out of the intersection as far as turning left. If you do put in a traffic signal, it would actually cause rear ends, especially with the limited sight distance there. There's that hump in the road. So that was one of the concerns. And then I know last time in the meeting, I believe it was the hotel property had brought up that people were turning around in their yards as well as some of the residents. So we were proposing to kind of put a cul-de-sac on our side that would allow for any stray trucks to turn around in.
And I'm assuming, were you the company that actually put this together?
No, so NV5 was the traffic engineering company. I'm with Eberly and Associates, so we're site.
Okay, because there was a couple things on here that I'm assuming these are, I guess, observations or suggestions, which I'm not sure that whether it's LTI or whomever would have any control over.
Correct.
Such as E, which is the entrance of Edge Road from the Pilot truck stop onto Liberty Road. You couldn't do anything. I mean, there's a suggestion that be closed, but there's nothing you could do to force the property owner of the Pilot to do that, right?
Correct.
All right, and then there's also mention of restriping the intersection. There's nothing as a private company you could do to make that happen either, is there? Because that belongs to the state of Georgia.
That road, I believe, is City of Villa Rica,
Okay.
Liberty Road, so we could, and I think the suggestion into that road is right now there's the raised islands, and they're just not lining up correctly with the Edge Road, which, you know, can cause some confusion, so we would remove those and then restripe the area.
All right, improved northwest corner radius. Is that property the city owns, or is that property that the Pilot owns?
This city.
Okay.
And so that was, you know, it's kind of been, you can see the tire tracks that are, people can't make the turn there.
And you mentioned here eliminate parking on Edge Road. That's something the city would have to do, correct?
Yes, correct.
And that means we'd have to take that from the Pilot truck stop from another business.
I don't know that they own that, but correct.
Okay.
It is, they are using it.
And then we'd have to add signs at the Pilot truck stop, and who would pay for those signs? Would your company pay for them, would the city pay for them?
The LIT would, or LIT would pay for those.
Okay.
Mac,
Um,
Bobby has already ordered some no commercial parking signs for Edge Road
I'm happy
in the
about that.
Pilot.
And then the turnaround area, I see that marked, that would be somewhere down Edge Road, correct?
Yes, so it actually, when I walked down the road, that was actually an area that you could see, if you walk down the road, there's already tire markings from vehicles trying to turn around that can't turn around on Edge Road.
Yeah.
I wanted to put it at our actual driveway, but just with the grades there, with our future proposed driveway, with the grades there, it just didn't work. So I figured, and plus, it's kind of going downhill there, so people, I feel like, won't go that far anyway.
Yeah, that's where East West Transport brings their vehicles in and out of, right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you looked at the study, and we looked at some of the accidents, and if I understood your conclusion of the study, your belief is, and based on the study, that a traffic light there would make it more dangerous than less dangerous, is that right?
Well, it would increase, so the traffic lights, would increase crashes, while they could possibly be, if they're rear end, they might not necessarily be, hopefully they wouldn't be dangerous, but, it would increase the crashes, and then as well as it was an issue of, number one, there's existing warrants just with the amount of traffic there already. So I guess there's a question of cost, but then no matter what, there's a question of maintenance cost on the city of Villa Rica as well.
Now, does that theory that you just espoused, does that take into consideration the additional 300 or so trucks a day that would be entering or exiting that property with this new building?
So the data did not, or sorry, not the crash data.
That's what I mean, the crash data as far as the safety concern. Did you take into consideration the 300 or so more trucks a day that were going to be entering when you said it would be safer with a traffic light? Or
No,
less safe with
But
a
I,
traffic light?
I can pull up the trucks, but I don't think that it is
Okay.
that many more trucks a day. But it also is going to be replacing some of the trucks that are going on the road already, would be replaced with our development. Because we are taking a portion of where the trucks are parking, I believe, portion of the facility.
You are taking some of the bobtail trucks, I agree.
Yes.
There are some
Mhm.
bobtails, but no, the 53-footers would more than likely be leaving your facility.
Yes, and then I
Or
believe.
tandem trucks, possibly two. If you're running tandems, you'd be running more than 53-foot, correct?
Correct. They're rare. I think those are,
Run
it's two
double axles.
28-foot,
Yeah,
so 56 feet.
yeah, so you'd be running more than 53-foot
Yes.
onto a very small, narrow edge road. That was the one issue that we had originally, and I still haven't. I may be in the minority here. There still wasn't an issue addressed about bringing those vehicles out onto Edge Road, and then taking those vehicles, making a left-hand turn at an already dangerous intersection onto Liberty Road, then, of course, going down I-20. I'm not as concerned about them making a right. I am concerned with that, of course, because I do live in the area, and I think it's not necessarily developed for tractor-trailer traffic. But I'm more concerned with the fact that we're going to be putting 53 and 56-foot vehicles on a very small congested road, and then attempting to have them make a left-hand turn to get to the interstate, which is the ultimate destination, and do so without a traffic light at an already dangerous condition. I was hoping that we might see some sort of plan where you guys might move the retaining pond and somehow put another ingress regress off of Liberty instead of putting the egress off of Edge.
Well, so one of the things that we did look at, but it is against, I guess, the staff recommendations, is if you were to open that driveway up, that we have up there, and you wouldn't have it as a right in, right out, then trucks, because right now we are forcing all trucks to go to Edge Road, which that would stop from forcing them, as well as there is better sight distance. If you were to open that up to full access, the Liberty Road one,
Have you tried to buy that corner piece?
he did, yes.
They won't sell it?
No,
Okay. Because that would make this a lot easier decision.
yes.
Was there any consideration about widening Edge Road?
That was not, I don't think that widening it was brought up. I think that it was brought up as a possibility of if you were to put in, a dedicated left turn. However, a dedicated left turn, if you're sitting in the left turn lane and there's already, an issue with turning left, and then you put vehicles next to you in a right turn lane, you're just obstructing your view even more. So that was one of the reasons that was not.
Could we put a dedicated D-cell on Edge Road and have the exit be on the Liberty?
Sorry, can you
Could we
say
have
that
the
again?
entrance be because I agree with what was said earlier, that this piece of property it's prime for this use. I agree with you. I think it's perfectly suited for this use. But the traffic issue is an issue. Could we make a dedicated right-hand only turn lane on the Edge, from Edge, and make the entrance off of Edge and make the exit off of Liberty, and the Liberty be a left-hand only turn lane?
So I think something like that in a spec warehouse kind of limits your development, because if you were to ever have a 2-tenant building, then that would possibly, if they were trying to do security fencing or anything like that, then that would limit anything.
Well,
But also might help you get over this hump of getting the thing built in the first place. It's just a big point.
Tom, you had a comment?
well, Mac, I agree with you. A lot of what you're saying there is things I've thought about myself. But, we've got practically a 350,000 square foot warehouse. And we're going to, there's just no universe in which I will believe that, it's not really going to make much traffic. And yeah, we can handle right turn in only and right turn out. This, and it's, right next to the interstate, which is just going to bring a ton of trucks to this facility. You're not locating this facility here in order to minimize the traffic. You're trying to attract people to use it. And it's, this is going to be in my opinion, it's going to wind up being a heavily used facility. And, they can't just go on down Edge Road because it is difficult to accommodate them further all the way down Edge Road. So we've got to figure out, Ron, us here, all of us in this, our municipality has to figure out how to accommodate all of this traffic, because it's, maybe we're not set up right this moment to bring in traffic off of Liberty Road in a high volume, but I think then, perhaps we need to shift things around a little bit and make a large, very useful entrance and exit off of Edge Road, and then improve the intersection between Edge Road and Liberty. Because now, the hill, coming over the hill down there by the Pilot, that's an issue coming in and going out. Because if you've got a heavily laden semi-truck and you turn right out of Edge Road, you're not going to just be up to the speed limit like that. It's going to take you a little while to pull. Gravity is going to work against you a little bit. And believe me, I go in and out of that intersection often enough that I know it's difficult now, especially certain times of the day. Or it seems like sometimes there'll be a whole wave of semis coming and going at one time. And it's difficult to negotiate turns into and out of Edge Road, especially coming out of Edge Road with all that other traffic on there. So, I think it's a perfect use for this property, and it's well located, to serve the people traveling up and down, the trucks traveling up and down I-20. But guys, we got to think about something to do here that's going to improve the access. And I don't believe in just saying, oh, it'll be all right. We got an engineer who says it's going to be okay. All my time associated with real estate development and things, I have never, ever once seen a developer's engineer say, oh no, this ain't gonna work. You know, y'all ought to put this here. Don't approve this because it's gonna overburden the site and the traffic. That just doesn't happen. You can get 100 engineering surveys that say, yeah, oh, this is gonna be fine, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna hurt anything, you know. Yeah, let's do it. But I'm sorry, I can't set aside my common sense to say, oh, this is gonna be okay. We'll outgrow the problem somehow or another, or some other group in the future, after we're gone, will be facing the problem of how to deal with this. So I would definitely like to see ingress and egress taken on as an issue to solve here. Otherwise, I'm pretty much in favor of this project.
So if I can just, point out that on the, and I understand it's from an engineer, but on the trip generation, the outbound, for the AM peak and the PM peak, so the peak hour, they're expecting 4 trucks in 1 hour and then 5 trucks in 1 hour. And then also, the property is currently zoned for commercial. So, commercial properties do tend to generate a lot more traffic, actually. And, with even just cars, but it's still a lot more traffic. And then you will have your heavy vehicles bringing in, their supplies and everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
David, did you have any comments?
Well, I agree, it's a great parcel for the development. It's a chokehold on the traffic. It's no matter which way you look at it, and then the traffic. So we choke through traffic right there at Edge and Liberty, and the people that want to avoid that area now, or the trucks that need to make an alternate route to get to I-20 is the goal. They're going to end up going down Edge all the way down to South Carroll to hit 61. They're going to backtrack or which way they're going to get to I-20 off of 61. It's going to force some more traffic in that area, which is already, there's another choke point. So what are we doing in between right there? Nobody can get to I-20. Where are we going? Open up that access at Edge Road and Liberty somehow.
Yeah, and besides, everything in here in the package I saw dealt with the traffic destined for this and generated as a response to this project. Well, between the Chevron station and the pilot, there are times when there's, looks to me like 35, 40 or more semis there in the pilot coming and going. And it's not consistent. It's not every day at 3 o'clock, but at times when they all seem to come together, man, it makes a mess.
Willie, did you have any comments you want to make? Well, I think we've expressed a great deal of concern. Ron, I would ask you, based on the conditions that you have set forth, how confident are you that with those conditions, that this is going to be adequate? I mean, I'm concerned about Edge Road, really, and that jams up. There's no question about it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's definitely concern, even from the staff standpoint, when we put in the condition number 5 here, installation of all off-site traffic improvements indicated in the traffic study. That's of course assuming, obviously, that the engineers have looked at this. Our city engineer has looked at this, which he did. And he's confident with the improvements that were set forth in that study, and that's really the only thing that I can rely on, being that he is a traffic or he is an engineer, and multiple other engineers have looked at this as well from the applicant side. So there's probably no, as everyone up here has said already, there's no doubt that there will be an increase in traffic. You're going to have 56-foot vehicles also on the roadway now. Edge Road is a local road. So, I mean, with me looking at the reports, and I'll actually grab it and we'll kind of go through the recommendations a little together here. So there was a couple other recommendations that I did give the city engineer, and I actually haven't had an update on those or not. I don't know if the applicant side has. But if we're looking at the Edge Road, the section from Edge Road pointing going east, there's only really one lane there anyway to make a left-hand turn onto Liberty Road. There's no right-hand turn for vehicular traffic either. So I did suggest that there would be at least more than one lane there to at least kind of divide up traffic for queuing purposes even, as well as to just general, being that we're going to be having on Liberty Road left-hand turns into the Chevron and onto Edge Road. It only made sense to also have left-hand turns onto Liberty itself as well, but I didn't see any changes in the study from the draft to the final for that. The numbers and for the traffic as well, there were some changes. Let's see. I'm sorry. So maybe the applicant can also give some indications as far as Table 1 and Table 5. It appears that they're the same. I'm not sure if that was purposeful or not, or that might just be an error. But it appears that the numbers are the same, being that there's a total future traffic in Table 5, and Table 1, I believe, is the existing traffic for turning movements counts that they observed. So the numbers are all the same between present and future. So I would like to get some clarity on that for the board and for the public.
How about this? How about if we have every engineer, the city engineer and all of the private engineers associated with this project sign a document with their own blood that says this project will never, ever cause overcrowding or safety issues here, and it will not be an issue ever because of truck traffic or people using the site, or it's just
I think that would resolve everything, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, if
but
they would
there's no
just
way. I don't think that there's any way to
swear on a stack of Bibles that this thing's going to never, shoot, it's hard to live with sometimes today, at certain times of the day,
Now-
and certain times of the year.
The applicant does have a point. Lauren did make a point about the commercial, the possibility being that this is a commercially zoned site. Commercial traffic would generate far more trips to and from this site. If there was any type
I
of,
think there's a difference, Ron, when you're dealing with a Honda Accord than you're dealing with a Mack truck.
oh, there's no
You're
doubt.
dealing with a Volvo White pulling 200,000 pounds, in a granny gear pulling out, and 53-foot trying to cross double lane versus, a Honda Accord or a soccer mom with her van leaving a Target. I think those are two different things. Now, I would have to probably agree with you. It's probably going to generate more traffic a commercial site would versus an industrial site. However, difference is industrial sites work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I've worked at them. I've worked in warehouses. I've loaded trucks. They work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So at 3 in the morning, you're not generally likely got soccer mom leaving the Target, but it's possible. But you are going to have, Johnny from Nebraska, Omaha, and his Volvo White heading back home. He is going to be pulling out. And I think you're comparing apples and oranges. I understand the traffic's traffic, I get it, but I think you're talking about two different things there. So I'm not sure if that's a fair comparison.
I could say though, and I agree with you to an extent. It's just if you have traffic coming out on Edge Road and they're trying to make a left-hand turn onto Liberty, the amount of queuing for more traffic is going to be an equal, if not worse, situation by having simply more cars out there.
I'll tell you what, even if this was a commercial development, not an industrial development, I think we'd be asking the same questions. I think if this were again, I said Target, no, just making that, if this were a Target shopping center, I think we'd be asking the same question to the Target shopping center. How do you plan on handling traffic?
Agreed.
I think we'd be asking the same question. We're not picking on them because it's an industrial site. I think it does change the analysis, and I think it changes the question when it comes to tractor trailers. But I think we'd be asking the same question. How do you intend on handling this?
And Matt, don't you agree that you can't just say vehicle counts X and yada, 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 and it's not going to really, I mean, like you said, this is not, a Volkswagen Beetle that's going to be out there.
Take
These things
longer
are going to
to
be
clean up.
huge.
There's gonna be more traffic going the other way.
It's just bigger, it's more wear and tear on the
Yeah.
road
Now-
itself.
Ron, I wanted to ask, have you heard, or is there any, since this has been going on, what Pilot's intention is with the lot they have there across the street that's pretty much choking this idea right
I
here?
have not, no. I haven't had any discussions with Pilot myself. Only Bobby has had some discussions with them, from what I understand, and
I'm
perhaps
sure we're
Tom.
driving up the price of that lot by what
But
we're doing.
unfortunately, I don't know what their intentions are.
Well, I mean, if
I agree.
Edge
If-
Road
if-
gets widened, I mean, part, the
Yeah.
road's gonna get gone.
Yeah, probably, I agree. Because that was what I was looking on the map that you had pulled up, Ron. There was a lot of things in there which make a lot of sense, but I think it puts a lot of auspice on the city and on the other landowners. If you get to the green map, the green dot map. Thanks,
It's coming.
I'm slowly but surely going, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I should have given
No,
you.
it's okay.
You know,
I'm doing
And this is what I was asking about. This puts auspice on this property owner, this puts auspice on the city to close this. This puts auspice on the city to line this up. I mean, for this to become safe, essentially for the purposes of validating this being zoned a certain way and building that, puts a lot of auspice on a lot of other people to do things. And I'm not sure we can guarantee Pilot's just gonna say, sure, take some of my parking away, I'll be fine with that. Or sure, just close one of my places to come into my business. We might end up in a lawsuit with the Pilot folks on that one if, I mean, we can't take that into consideration because it hadn't happened and it might not ever happen.
Oh, and by the way, the more successful this warehouse is, you know what it's going to do to Pilot? They're going to have a lot more customers going to Pilot
Yeah, don't run the numbers up.
because they're coming to this warehouse.
Pat, did you have anything else that you wanted to add during the, I'm sorry, you.
Yeah, no, sorry, he's the. Yeah, I think the chart looks like it was.
Well, guys, I'm not trying to be negative on you. I want to see something good done with this piece of property. Perfect location and all, I mean, well, when you get past ingress and egress, it's a good location. But we've still got some issues here in my mind that need to be solved. And yeah, whoever said it up there, one of the issues is I think the city is going to have to do something with surface roads right there.
Can you clarify that? Service roads?
Surface,
Oh, surface roads.
Edge Road and Liberty Road.
Yeah, Edge Road is a real problem. So, are there any other comments that the company wants to make at this time? You've heard a lot of discussion here.
I mean, I don't think we have any other comments unless y'all have any more questions.
What-
Ma'am?
I don't think that we have any more comments unless y'all have more questions for us.
What is your reaction to the comments that you've heard?
Well, okay, so I think that he brought up table 1, table 5, I'm looking at that, I think that was a typo, so we could get that, or, an error, so we can get that fixed for y'all. As far as, he did mention, and I think I mentioned it before, the left turn and the right turn lane coming out of Edge Road, that really would just, I think personally, it's going to create more of a site obstruction if you put another lane in, and we add lanes all the time, so it's not anything with adding a lane, it's really just if there's a car sitting to your right and you're sitting to your left, you can't see past that car if they pull too far up. So it really just does create a bigger safety concern. And I understand the queuing, it would help with queuing, but as far as the safety of it.
Also, well, in my opinion and stuff I've seen, you cure that with the right kinds of traffic signals because you you can warn them on the other side of the hill that you've got a dangerous intersection coming up. And, oh, by the way, stop ahead immediately after, you know. Right, and that sort of thing. All of that can be done. And you can get an intelligent signal that will allow queuing to take place and allow traffic to flow through the intersection. So it's not just throw it on the wall and hope it sticks. It's kind of, you know, it's engineering our way to a safer, more efficient intersection.
I will say, you know, you've said that there's backup on Edge Road already trying to get out. If you do add a signal to it, though, the Liberty Road is the higher volume road. So Edge Road will not have as much signalization time. There will be even longer wait times there if it's a wait time concern. Just because in order to keep it, you know, a reasonable level of service intersection.
Can I ask a question? Can you pull this up? I just got, and I'm not a site engineer. God knows I was never good at math, so they don't teach that at law school anyway. But yeah, this one. I have a question. This is what I make sure we're talking the same language.
Yes, sir.
Hold on,
I
I'm
got
trying
too
to
close
rotate
to
this
it.
so I can,
Oh, that's fine.
you'll have to forgive me, I'm trying to do this and I can't see my computer, so.
I got you. All right, there you go. That's fine. You're fine. Right
That
now.
way, turn it upside down now.
We'll work it.
It's fine. Is there any reason why, I'm trying to help, is there any reason why we could not put a right-hand turn lane here, bring the trucks in here, an entrance off of Edge, and make the exit off of Liberty?
So that is actually, you know, really, the grades are a lot higher there. I don't have the topo map, but the building will be sitting down a lot further and the trucks can't handle that steep of a grade.
Bring some dirt in.
For the industrial,
Digging it out, Jerry Thomas got a bunch of it dumped over on 61.
so for the industrial sites, we do balance what's there with our dirt just because it's so, I think and I'm not an estimator, but it costs
I mean,
$14
per yard.
a cubic yard to bring it on or off possibly versus like 75 cents to move it on site. So
Do you have any extra on site to move it across to the other side?
not to raise the entire building. So no, that's actually, we have to cut it down.
It's the cheapest place to put it, is what you tell me. It's sitting in the hole. What kind of
Yes.
grade is that? 7%, 8%, 12%? What's the grade?
So we actually couldn't even put our parking all the way over there without going into the other property because the other property is so much higher. So I don't know exactly what the grade is, but we would normally pull our parking to the edge of the building where you can see it's offset back. Yes, because our office would generally be at that edge. And we couldn't even do that with staying on our property with the grades. They were so steep. So that's going to be like a 2-to-1 slope to that neighbor's property.
All right, that answers my question. And so it's going to have some site improvement work. If you bought it at the right price, though, it's all right. You're still going to make money on it.
We
Depending on
really
what you
wanted
buy-
the corner
and
property.
what you sell it for is what you buy it for. All right.
At this time, then, I'd like to open up to any comments that the public would make. Yes, ma'am, come forward and state your name, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Angela O'Neill. First of all, I want to say thank you all for your thorough observation of the project. Being a 16-year homeowner in that area of Liberty Road and Edgewood, I feel as if I'm speaking from a residential or resident's perspective. I have a lot of concerns about the traffic there. The truck traffic already can be very overwhelming. And over the years, I've seen how it has picked up. It really been a headache for the majority of the residents over there. That's a conversation that we have all the time, is the truck traffic has picked up so much over the years. So I am glad to see that there's some type of business activity that wants to come in, but I really hope that the developers will really reevaluate the traffic flow. Because again, as a resident of the area, I can see what what has been proposed now, not very beneficial to us that live over there. So, that's my comment. Thank you.
Well, I'm surprised there has not been more residential comment to this. You received none, Ron, is that correct?
Yeah. So publicly, I guess there hasn't been residential comments, but amongst residents, us just talking from being, homeowners over there and living over there, raising our children, we've just noticed how traffic has picked up, specifically with the pilot, truck traffic. It can be very dangerous, very hectic. Certain times of the day you get off work or getting your kids, and sometimes the trucks even, you made a good point, David, they have to divert and go a different way. And I've seen the trucks go through neighborhoods, even going on Liberty Road to go around. So, yeah, people may not talk publicly, but we do talk amongst each other.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. Any other comments? Yes, sir. State your name, please.
I agree with everything she said.
Your name?
Sam Perkins, Maple Valley. We were up here at the last meeting, and y'all brought up a lot of the concerns that we have that live over there. Just the volume of traffic. Unfortunately, that piece of property, we'd like to see something there. We just don't think trucks are the thing to put there. I mean, unfortunately, it'd be a great spot. All you got to do is go right down there to 61, that exit. You see what's down there. South Carroll Road, y'all seen the traffic pickup there. Has anybody went to the pilot and asked them how many trucks come through that place every day? And how many park there at night? So, being in this industry for a little while, I know that these trucks are going to figure out how to turn right and go down Edge Road. They're going to figure a way around, just like you were mentioning about South Carroll. They're going to get down there. We've seen them in our neighborhood. There's a building down there that they've hit 2 or 3 times trying to get turned around. They've tore people's yards up. They've had to put up steel barriers to keep them from tearing stuff down on that, past the 3-way down there on the right. So there's a lot of issues with that. I just personally, and I think a lot of the neighbors, there's a couple of them here with me tonight. Unfortunately, I just don't think anything that has to do with truck traffic is going to help that situation at all. You got the Chevron right across the street from Edge. When they first built it, it was okay. Well, now you start to see every night there's trucks parking over there. The road that they've cut, the dirt road going down to that property, we got trucks parking down there now. And like you mentioned before, the bobtail trucks that park on that little rise right there, I can't tell you how many times we've had to dodge people right there where they don't get out of the way, or they're backing out early in the morning, late in the evening. It's needs to be a lot done there before. A heavy, if it was like a commercial, like Mike's talking, yeah, the traffic's going to pick up, but you can kind of halfway do something with that. The truck traffic, I just don't see you being able to solve that situation right there. But anyhow, thank you. Appreciate y'all studying on this. Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments, I'll close public hearings. And gentlemen, it's time for a decision. I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we deny the request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny the request. Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? No. So the motion is to deny the request. It was 3-2, I believe.
Let me clarify this. There's just so many details about this that I think are going to be detrimental to everyone and everything around it. I'd like to see this project get in there and succeed. I think there are some things that need to be done, have to be done, in order to accommodate a project of this type. I mean, let's face it, this site is immediately adjacent to I-20. It's going to make this kind of usage is going to be what winds up going there. But we've got to figure out how to, and part of it, Ron, we've got to carry back to the city and just say, I know I have serious concerns about surface traffic right there. And that's just going to grow, it's going to go down Edge Road all the way. And there's another truck facility down there just across I-20. If you go down Edge Road to, is that Daniel?
It is, Daniel, yeah.
And turn right, there's another truck facility of some kind down there.
East-West Transport.
And, yeah, exactly. So, I think they need to get serious about this. If they want this development, the city ought to look at seriously improving Edge Road and making better access all the way through there. Because if they go forward with this kind of thing, they're going to have to do a lot of that in the future. And why not anticipate and go ahead and get out in front of it and do it rather than waiting for it to make a god-awful situation that has to be dealt with by everybody who lives around there or tries to use that road.
And that's, to kind of reiterate what Tom's saying, is I'm not anti the development itself. I think you're right. I think that's what it's meant to be used for. But I think part of our job and what we're called to do on this job, which we get paid nothing for, but part of our job is to look after not only the city in 2021, 2025, 2028, our job is to look forward and that we have a duty not only to the people who may live here next year and the year after that, but the people who live here now and the people who are going to live here and people who have lived here. We have a duty to balance growth and development with the needs and the wants and the livability and the desires of the people who live here now. And I think we have to be very careful and very mindful of that as we go forward and not get so excited about the new shiny thing. And we have to think about that. And we have to think, how does this affect the people? And because these streets aren't just streets. These are where people live. This is where they raise their families. This is where they eat their dinners. This is where they work. And it's important to them. So we have to think about that. And we should think about that. It's not just pictures on a page. These are people's homes that they spend their whole life trying to buy and build and pay for. And that's where I'm at on, and that's the problem I have, is I just think it has too much of a detrimental effect if you were to do the balancing on the people who live there. But I think eventually something will come here, and we're just going to have a better plan than what we have here today.
Well, I would just call your attention to that this is not the final decision. This now goes to the city council, where they will discuss this. And I can tell you that they don't always listen to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
They do not.
So your case is not dead yet. So you will have to appear at city council meeting, which is next Tuesday. Is it on the agenda for there?
I think it's right. I think it's next Tuesday.
They're actually for next month, so that will be April the 13th.
April 13th.
Okay. Well, your case then will be brought before them. And frankly, there are often times where they don't even ask what the Planning and Zoning Commission say. So, you're still alive. So, and the public needs to be aware of that too, and you need to show up at the city council meeting and express the residents' concerns as well, so.
And I would say, this is not like he says, not a final rejection. Sweeten your package, fine tune it, and deal with some of the things we identify as issues, and go back to the city council. And I think if you can, because some of them are going to consider the issues that are important to us here tonight. So I think that you can work with the city. But there are some other things, in my opinion, that just need to be done before this is a viable project.
Okay, Ron, staff comments.
First and foremost, we do have an uptick in applications coming your way. There's at least 2 that are out that would be coming. The applicant, as we discussed on the Rockhaven Homes development, which I can't talk about in detail, we will be having discussion later on this week on some of the comments that I've made or that I've had on their development, as well as the rest of the department and the city manager. So we're hoping that something fruitful can kind of come out of that. I've had numerous discussions with the applicant's attorney, Joe Fowler, in Douglasville, and you know, he's a really straight shooter when it comes to these types of developments, and just kind of wants to know, like, what are they dealing with. So you know, I told him, you know, that he's going to have to kind of tell his applicant to keep, you know, kind of get his package kind of together and in a better format, in a sense, for the development itself. It seems kind of you know, kind of crunched together. So we're trying to get a better product than what we've at least seen so far, and some more details at least. So that development, again, that one should be actually coming on April 6th to the commission. And there will be also another development at 1030 3rd Street as well. That's supposed to be coming forward probably at the same time to the commission. So
There's been nothing built in Fullerville in 50 years,
yeah,
60 years.
other than the soccer facility.
Yeah, I mean, other than soccer, so that's the only thing, and that was the ballpark was there before.
Yeah.
And I played ball when I was a kid, so there's been nothing built in Fullerville. It may be closer to 70 years since anything's been built out there.
Yeah, so I'm reviewing that application right now. So I'm closing up on my review probably tomorrow, and
Okay, so might kick it in.
we'll be able to see where that goes. The applicant's been very responsive, so we're hoping that this can make it to your agenda on April 6th.
And what was the first agenda that we received that talked about a change to the zoning ordinance? Is that something that's going to be coming forward again?
Yes, I haven't been briefed from Chris on that item yet. He submitted it to Kirsten to have placed on the agenda, but I believe there's numerous different changes that he wants to make, so.
But the timing of that seemed remarkable because it was changed to SFA, which ties in with the request by Rockhaven Homes.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Did we have any, did the staff have any knowledge, or was there any discussion made or brought forward that anybody can recall when we did that rezoning for that property before, that we were going to be looking at townhomes at the end?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't talked to anyone about townhouses there. That, in fact, the property owner argued considerably to keep it as commercial
It's going to be
property.
a commercial property. That's what I thought. We went over and over that amongst the
And we approved
commission.
I talked to
and
the
in meeting.
attorney about that also.
We approved that based on his comments. And now he wants to change it, and, but again, it just looks strange
Yeah, thank
with
you.
the zoning ordinance change in SFA, which seems
think
to
it's
tie
really
in
just
together. Looks very
clarity.
suspicious.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's just clarity from some of the points that were made in the existing zoning ordinance for SFA. There's, if you were to look into the multifamily and single-family attached design standards, there's key changes from that to the actual single-family attached chart that we use with all the bulk requirements and standards, and some of them don't align with one another to where it doesn't make any actual sense for actually designing a product, or even me reviewing a product, just as an example, Rockhaven. So that was all discovered as time moves on. We're going to keep discovering these types of problems in the ordinance, and we have to continue bringing them back to fix them.
Well, I appreciate that, but the timing looked very suspicious to me.
Yeah,
but
I
not
understand.
anybody else.
But there's no other way to really, you know, when we're actually reviewing something, we're gonna catch these things at that time, and it's best to handle them at that time.
Understand.
I guess we rewrote, I mean, essentially the city has rewritten the entire zoning from front to back. So, I mean, there's going to be
There's gonna be some stress testing, as time goes on, and I think this is one of those cases, honestly.
it happens.
Well, and the
Yeah.
stress testing comes from the developers too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's, you don't know the answer till the question gets asked, and then you got to
Yeah.
find the answer.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other comments, Ron?
No, that's it.
Kirsten?
Actually, I'm sorry, there's one other. We have also a new subdivision that's proposed, as well, down Highway 61 near Tolbert Drive. This was property that was owned by Tanner Medical Center. And it's about 75 acres, I want to say it is, 75 acres. And so they're proposing to build a number of houses there. It's a couple, I want to say it's 200 and some odd number of houses. Hasn't been reviewed yet, so that's also going to be coming forward for the April 6th meeting.
Is that right, sort of across from the
Bojangles, yeah,
right before
kudzu
Twin Oaks?
everywhere,
Kudzu,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
My understanding they're planning to do 4 homes per every 3rd acre.
So,
4 homes per third?
Ron, what's going on with the intersection? Is there anything in process as far as some improvements being made to that intersection of Reed and South Carroll at the back of the O'Charlie's and the La Chiquita?
I haven't heard of anything related to any improvements there, no.
That little area right there, I mean,
That's,
we're gonna put 300, 200 something more houses right there.
that's.
Eventually, we're gonna jam up Edge Road and Liberty Road right there. And
Yeah.
something that we need, you know, long-term, we need to be looking at some relief at that interchange.
Yeah, my office.
It's already dangerous
Yeah, my
right
office
there.
is right there, and you come up, try to make a left on the Tolbert Drive. Let's say you're going to the Starbucks or the car wash, and you've got cars coming in from the right, you've got cars coming from 61, you've got cars coming from the left, coming from there, you've got cars out in the middle that don't know what direction they're going.
And a fender bender on the shoulder.
Yeah, there
I've
needs
seen
to
a
be
couple so
roundabout-
far, yeah.
Roundabout, traffic light, star intersection, something needs to come of that somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, what could help is if Hertz Ferry actually had been completed the way it was supposed to be completed with a bridge over the gas line, which would have actually tied it back into the backside of the QT. But years and years ago, the gas line owned to Infinity, and they said, well, yeah, you can build a bridge, but you got to use our contractors to build it. Because if you would have built a bridge over that, that would give you a second artery, if you will, to run behind
I
O'Charlie's.
have wondered what
That's what-
happened right there. Every
Gas, the
time I
gas,
go
the
over
gas
it.
company owns to the
Okay.
moon,
Wow.
and if you build a bridge over it, you have to use their contractors, and their contractors are very, very expensive. And that was a private road originally, and then kind of the economy dumped in 2009, and no one could afford to do it. But I wish the city would somehow figure out a way to get that done, because that would give us another artery in that area, and I think that would help the commercial businesses in that area too, to make ingress and regress a lot better.
Is anything more pending on that declarant of Mirror Lake to build 200 homes on 20 acres or whatever it was?
Some ridiculous.
No new information has been submitted, I can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it practical to ask the developer who's putting in the subdivision to make any sort of contribution to improvement at that interchange?
The planning commission and the city council can ask for anything, essentially,
when
as
we
a
get it, we
condition
can
of
look
their
at it.
approval.
All right. Thank you.
Well, if there are no other comments or discussion,
I move we adjourn.
I second.
all approve? Adjourn?
Back to work.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Yes, thank you guys.
You got it.
What a miracle.